Hello, everyone. This is Amber. I am one of the organizers of WordPress Accessibility Day, and I have sound. Hold on. It opened my YouTube. All right, this is extra fun when I'm testing out different stuff. Okay, so I am here today with Glenda Sims from Deque, and I'm really excited to have her here. Welcome, Glenda.
Thank you.
Would you want to introduce yourself and tell people who might not be familiar with Deque what the company does and how you support accessibility?
Absolutely, Amber. Thanks so much. So I am Glenda, the Good Witch of Accessibility. I'm the Chief Information Accessibility Officer at Deque, where our mission is digital equality. We are passionate about sustainable accessibility that break down barriers for all people, regardless of disability, so that they have equal access to all the digital things. And at Deque, we're very pragmatic. We're not going to get all ivory tower on you or look for perfection unless that's where you want to go. We just want to help you wherever you are in your accessibility journey, from small businesses that are brand new to accessibility and just want to start small and do some quick wins, to huge global enterprise companies that want to set up a sustainable accessibility program that really works. And why do I work at Deque? Because I get to do what I love, and I get to work with people who really love digital accessibility.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I mean, that whole point on focusing on, figuring out what you can do and meeting companies along the way, I've really appreciated that in some of the webinars that I've attended from Deque and talking about that. And I think for the WordPress space, especially, that's really relevant, because there are a lot of people with WordPress websites that maybe they're a blogger or they're a very small micro business that doesn't, they're DIYing it. It might not even have a developer or an agency. So I appreciate that you are able to speak the language of progress over perfection.
Yes, absolutely.
So we always like to ask our sponsors, what interested you in sponsoring WordPress Accessibility Day? What do you like about the event?
So one of the things you just mentioned is how important the WordPress is for so many people around the world. 40% of the web is made through WordPress. So this is golden. It maps to our digital equality to be able to sponsor you in your accessibility day that produces 40% of the web. What better way to achieve our goal? So it was really a no-brainer.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think I've thought that myself as well, that with such a big reach that WordPress has, if we really want to see a difference on the web, WordPress has to be a leader in the accessibility space, like the content management system itself, all of the contributors that help to build it, since of course it's open source.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Deque also holds a free online conference for accessibility in March every year called AxCon. I'm actually wearing, I don't know if you can see it because it's cut off, but I have a shirt on that says digital equality is my jam, that I got from attending a AxCon at one point in the year, or submitting a feedback survey or something. I can't remember, but I got it and I love it. It's one of my favorite t-shirts. So can you share a little bit about what AxCon is?
Sure. So AxCon is the world's largest digital accessibility conference online. And it's really designed with tracks for developers and designers and your business users and accessibility professionals of all levels. And what's important is we've got to get the word out beyond the people that already are passionate about this. And so that was the genesis of AxCon, is how can we reach those that haven't been reached yet? So attendees and speakers are really focused on how to build, test, and maintain accessible digital experiences. And we make sure when we're looking at the talks that are proposed that we're getting that range of individuals, small business, and large enterprise, so that you can come learn for free. This year, it's very important, we're moving it to February, because
okay, good to know.
when we originally started it, it was during COVID, and a lot of people weren't traveling because it was dangerous to travel. And so it was okay to be in March, but it's really important that we not compete with the biggest physical conference in accessibility.
CSUN.
And so we're moving to February 20th and 22nd. Again, it is online, it is free, and you all can submit to speak as well. We have paid speaking slots because we have sponsors that give to a pool. And then depending on how many speakers, we divide the money up and you actually get paid to speak.
Yeah, so that's a big thing actually that we did with WordPress Accessibility Day. So we're a nonprofit organization under a partnership with Nobility. Rather than being part of the WordPress Community Foundation. And that's surprising for people, but the reason why is because the WordPress Community Foundation, if you have an official WordPress event, a meetup or a WordCamp, you're not allowed to pay speakers. Gotcha. And we really felt like, because we want to encourage especially people with disabilities to speak, and I'm sure you're the same way. Exactly. People with disabilities are frequently underemployed, and we wanted to compensate everyone, not just people with disabilities, but everyone for their time and expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. We're on the same page.
Yeah, I appreciate that you do that with AxCon. And I just have to share a little tidbit about AxCon, because I think one of the things that we have found that made it really useful for us as a company to attend is, well, first of all, it's easy with a virtual conference to just be like, oh, I'll just watch it later. But you miss out when you don't go live and participate in the chat or ask questions if you have questions. And so something that we've done, we've actually, in the past, we block off AxCon days on our schedule. And so we're not doing client work, but then what we do is the following week, we'll have what we call a lunch and learn, and we're all distributed. So we get pizza delivered to everyone's house. So everyone has pizza. Yeah. And we get on Zoom and everyone has to give like a little 8 minutes of something interesting they learned at AxCon. And then because there's so many talks and we can't all be at them, and we're all going, and we have everyone. So even like our ops team, they all have to go, even if their daily job isn't building websites. Yeah. And so that's something that we've done that I would encourage people. Maybe people could do that for WordPress Accessibility Day too. We only have one track though, so it's easier to catch everything, but yeah.
It's a wonderful idea. One of my favorite things about the virtual is that I can run the talks later at whatever speed I'm in the mood for.
Yes, so you can go like 1.5 or 2x.
I can get through some talks so much faster. And I can also, for some people that speak fast, I can slow it down. And you can't do that in real life, And I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah. So virtual events, whether it's AxCon or WordPress Accessibility Day, they definitely have some benefits.
They do.
So one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about, I've always been very impressed by Deque's commitment to open source in addition to education. So I know Axe Dev Tools, which is a Chrome extension, and maybe you can talk about what that is for people in just a second here, but I use that, and it has a free version. I've also paid for the pro version because I like the guided testing. But there's an open source rule library there that you allow other tools to use. And we've even in our company been talking about incorporating, I'm pretty sure we're pulling Axe in because like your color contrast checks are better than ours. Doing color contrast checks with PHP is really hard, I have figured out.
It is.
So I would just love if you could, maybe for people who are new to accessibility testing with automated tools, can you share some information about what Axe is, what that rule set is, and how maybe people could incorporate that in either their own products or in their testing process if they're just using the Chrome extension?
So the name Axe, which in my mind, I should have double checked this with Wilco, but it's Accessibility Engine, AXE, if you think about it. That's like what's in my brain. I may have made that up. But Axe really comes from the Deque open source project Axe Core. And it was a really gutsy move when we did it, because here we are, a .com that's pouring a lot of money into creation of software and services. And we open source our intellectual property for the automated testing rules. That's pretty gutsy. And I was so excited when we did it, because I had already been thinking, how many people have written does this image have an alt? Does this form field have a label? And then the color contrast you're talking about, the work, we were all spending parallel energy coding the same dang things. So for the good of the world, open source it and let us all work together. So it was gutsy to do. And I'm so proud that we did it, because I think it's allowed more people to spend their energy on the next things, on the other things. And so Axe Core is on GitHub. Anyone can see the code. There's no, it's completely transparent. It's not a black box. You can contribute to it. And I think this has moved the industry in a positive direction. And it's been downloaded hundreds of millions of times. So instead of us having this version of this company's and this other, we have one source of the automated rules. And if you don't like them and you think they're wrong, well, go work on it in GitHub and let's
go submit an issue, right?
So that we don't run ourselves in circles with slightly different variations of interpretations of things. And so Axe Core is the core of the beginning of this. And then Axe DevTools is the extension that you can install in Chrome, is my favorite place to use it, but you can also use it in Firefox or Edge. And when you install Axe DevTools extension, you get all the Axe Core rules. And with one press of the Scan Now button, can test your page for accessibility automatically for free. Flash, boom, you've got it. Now, this is the free version. Again, we were trying to move accessibility forward in deeply meaningful ways. So we were willing to do this almost out of love for the world and the community. And it's because our mission is digital equality. We've got to make it easier for everybody to do. We have to. We want everyone to have that easy access to the basic testing. Now, if you want to go deeper, there is a pro version. It is paid version, because y'all, if we gave away everything for free, we couldn't stay in business.
You wouldn't exist.
Right. Yep. So we try and give away as much as we can for free. AxeCon, scholarships to Deque University, Axe Core, Axe DevTools free version. But then the deeper dive, you go to Axe DevTools Pro. And like you said, we get intelligent guided testing there that can help a developer find and fix 80% of their issues by volume. It's like having a friendly accessibility expert in your pocket. You don't need to be the expert, because Pro will guide you to find and fix. And OMG, the coolness does not stop there, because I didn't quite grasp it until recently, the work that our AI engineers are doing.
Are they building some AI stuff?
And if you go into your Axe DevTools Pro and you go look at the guided tests, anywhere you see the little robot head, we are using machine learning and computer vision to help you.
Oh, that's interesting. I never noticed that. I'll have to go look for the robot head.
Go look at the robot head. And by this, what I'm saying is, Wilco is telling me some things. I'm like, nuh-uh, a computer cannot test that. And he's like, here's the results. Do you want to see them? And I'm like, jaw drop at what computer vision can really do and is really already doing in IGT, in the intelligent guided testing. And I'm like, oh my word, I never dreamed that some of these things would be possible to test, and they really, really are. So Axe Core is in every Axe DevTools browser extension. It's also being used by companies around the world. Like you were saying, you're using it at WordPress, and it can be downloaded for free.
Yeah. So, I think for people who are not as familiar, an example that I, where the guided testing really comes in. So for example, any automated tool can tell you if you have an image that is missing alternative text. But what an automated tool typically can't do is tell you if the alternative text is correct. And one of the guided tests, for example, is it'll go through, it'll get all of your images, it'll show you all the alt text on them. So you don't have to go try and inspect the code. Or if you're someone who hasn't quite figured out a screen reader, you don't have to listen to them on a screen reader and learn how to do that first. It'll say, and then it says, is this correct? Yes or no. And then you can just be like, no, and it will log it as an issue that needs to be fixed, or yes. And then it will say, okay, right. Or it would be like, or you'd be like, oops, this was supposed to be decorative. It shouldn't have any. So it like helps you figure out those human aspects. And for me, I felt like when I was first getting started, that was helpful just to learn what should I look for when I manually test. So
I think that's another key thing. And it's subtle because you're like, oh, I'm just using the software to test my stuff. But then all of a sudden it is just in the moment training. So once the developer learns that this is important, they may never make that mistake again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's really powerful.
Yeah. Are there, beyond the guided testing, are there other differences between free and pro in Axe?
The artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer vision is happening in the pro.
Okay.
And so you are getting things that, so let's look at color contrast. Color contrast can be tested automatically so far when that background is a solid and the text is a solid, it can totally get that. Okay. But what happens when the background is a gradient? And what happens when the text itself is kind of funky gradient? Computer vision can do that, and you will get that in pro.
Can it test it over an image?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh. And see if I can try that feature.
It's like, nuh-uh.
Because that's one that we're always just like, that's a manual check.
Exactly.
Get your eyedropper out, select the lightest part of the image, figure out what the color code is.
and when we think about this 10 years ago, I would have told you never would that happen. But what's happening in AI and computer vision, it's real.
That is so neat.
And if we keep pretending that everything has to be done dropper by dropper, manual, I'm going to hand do this, we're never going to win, y'all. We have to learn to use AI smartly, keep a human in the loop. We have to, otherwise we're so behind and we become the bottleneck. We can't do it.
Yeah. So beyond tools and AxeCon, what are other ways that Deque helps organizations improve the accessibility of their online presence?
So tools and software are a little bit like going to Home Depot and saying, I want to build a house, and somebody handing you a bunch of nails and wood, right? It's the pieces, but you need to know. So education and awareness is a crucial part. And so Deque University is a wonderful piece of our offering. It's an online way to learn. It has video, it has short courses, it has text, it has good code and bad code. It's fantastic. And there's a scholarship. So if you're a person with disabilities, you can apply for the scholarship and you can get free access to Deque U to continue
wonderful.
Your career path. We also offer, and I think this is really important, virtual or in-person live instructor training, because some people do learn well on their own through video, through reading. Other people, they need an interactive environment to really have that aha moment. So we have fantastic instructors, virtual or in person. And then I don't know if you can see, there's a box behind me that's really big. It's
I see a unicorn.
It's right below the unicorn. The unicorn's actually the color unicorn is sitting on it. This is our accessibility awareness lab, and it's a hands-on awareness experience. It's not about creating pity or sympathy for people with disabilities, because you know what? They don't need no pity or sympathy. What they need is for us to stop building barriers. We just need to make things accessible. And so what the lab is about is how, if we do things accessibly, how a person that's blind, deaf, cognitive, motor can use. It's about the possibilities. And so we offer that. And then services beyond training. We'll do an audit for you. We'll write a VPAT for you. We'll do strategic consulting if you're trying to set up a program, write a policy, figure out how to start a pilot and spread it out to your org. We can embed accessibility coaches on your agile teams if you want. You can rent a developer, and we even do usability testing with people with disabilities. And I'll say it this way: if you come to us with a digital accessibility problem and we don't have a service, we'll invent a service. If it's
That's wonderful.
If it's going to help you, because we want to solve the problem.
Yeah. So it sounds like very well-rounded resource. If your organization needs help with accessibility, Deque is definitely a great resource out there for you. And you already mentioned Deque University, which I'm assuming we can get to. Yes. And we haven't said that. So let's spell out the website, because I know the way it sounds might not be intuitive to people. So where could they go on the website?
Okay. It's DEQUEuniversity.com. Now, I said
okay, so that's separate from your main website.
It is separate, and I'm going to double check by typing it in. So it's DEQUEuniversity.com, and Deque is spelled DEQUE. University is just the way you spell it. There's no dot between Deque and university, and it's .com. And if you go right there, you can see an agenda for our different courses. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can see the scholarship program. And we even offer, if you're interested in the IAAP certification programs, we have training for that to help you get certified.
Wonderful. Great. So I want to shift back to WordPress Accessibility Day a little bit. So for anyone who is not familiar, WordPress Accessibility Day is happening on September 27th through 28th. It's 24 hours of talks. So those will be available in business hours for you, no matter where you are in the world. It's a single track. You can register for free and get more information at 2023.wpaccessibility.day. And Deque, as a sponsor, has a sponsor page, and you have submitted a great swag item. It's, I think, a 145-page ebook for people, and you're going to be giving away a set of Braille Legos. So people can go to your sponsor page and submit a form and enter to win once they've registered. But I want to talk a little bit about Braille Legos.
Yeah.
Can you describe them to me? Because I've never seen them.
I'll tell you, I know that I have a set in my living room that I bought, but I'm saving it for Christmas. So I haven't opened it or touched it yet.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. What I know is that they are very new to Lego world. They originally started that you could not buy them unless you were a school for the blind or visually impaired, or you were a person that had that disability. And so I've been wanting them. I believe it costs just under $100 for a set. And I think it can help you learn and play with Braille. And that's all I know. But if you Google Braille Lego, I think you'll hit all the goodness. And the cool thing is that they've now opened it up so the public can buy it. So I'm super stoked about that.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to Google that, because I'm curious when you say like I'm wondering if I've seen some Braille toys where there's no color and they're just white, but they have Braille on them. And then there's other things like I have this is an Access You speaker gift, but I'm holding up a blind friendly Rubik's Cube. It's not Braille, but it has raised shapes on all the colors. So it still has colors. Mine is not solved because I haven't figured out how to do that. It sits on my desk. It's mostly my fidget toy in meetings. But because I don't have to look at it, I can feel the difference on the shapes. And so I could kind of work on it in that way. But it's interesting with Braille, because I'm wondering now if they'll say the color on them, and that might be a way to learn to read Braille potentially.
I think it could, and I'm looking at a website, legobraillebricks.com. And there is learning through play with Lego Braille bricks. There's a massive open online course, there's a community blog, and there are 108 activities that you can do. And so I haven't explored it yet because I was trying to wait for at least my birthday or Christmas to give myself that present. It's sitting right up there.
Well, everyone should go on the WordPress Accessibility Day website, go to Deque's sponsor page. You can enter to win Braille Legos. And I think that will be super fun, either for yourself or a child or a friend or family member. If you don't want to, I don't know who wouldn't want to just play with them by yourself. Building with Legos is fun.
I agree.
So have you had a chance to check out the schedule? I'm curious if there's any talks that stood out to you that we could tease for people next week.
So, you know, when I looked at your schedule, number one, I think it's absolutely wonderful that you're doing this, that you're doing it 24 hours of content. It's a gift to the WordPress community to do this. And the speaker list is fantastic. So of course, your first opening keynote with Jennison Ascension, if people have not heard Jennison speak, Jennison is one of the people I think that has had so much profound impact on the world of accessibility. He leads accessibility at LinkedIn. And he started, this little thing called Global Accessibility Awareness Day. His impact is profound, and he's such a good person. Super smart. And so I am always learning from him. And so that session is a can't miss session. And then of course, Joel Dolson is with him in that session. And so, you know, from your keynote all the way down the list, I am seeing so many great speakers that I recognize and learning ones that I haven't met because our community is growing and I don't know everybody. But another one that I saw, I'm a big fan of cognitive accessibility. So for a long time, we've been focused on physical, so blind and hearing and motor and maybe speech as input. But I think her name is Birgit, is speaking on visible disabilities, including long COVID and ADHD. And y'all, I think this is the next great frontier, because everything that we can do for people with cognitive needs, neurodiverse needs, is going to help break down barriers for even more people and us. Because what do you like in the morning when you haven't had your coffee, or you didn't sleep well, or you have a headache, or you're hangry? So many of the things that make or break a digital experience for a person with neurodiverse needs are the same thing that will help us on days when we're not at our
best self.
So
that talk is at 700 UTC, which for us in Central Time Zone, that's where you and I are. We learned earlier we're not too far away from each other.
Yeah, very close.
It's 2 a.m. But it should be a really great talk. And she's specifically talking about WordPress events too, which is something I know some of us on the core accessibility team for WordPress have been trying to encourage more WordCamps and WordPress meetups to consider accessibility as part of their event. So I'm also really excited about that talk.
Yeah. And I was unfamiliar with her name, so I cannot wait to consume that content. I will admit I'm not going to be up at 2 a.m. watching it. I will be watching it not live.
The replay, yes.
And then for any of you that don't already know, I mean, most of y'all probably already do, Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher is just one of the great minds of our space. And she's so flippin' humble that I can hear her right now going, no, not me. And I'm like, yes, you. So she's just an amazing person to learn from. And I think her session on CSS and accessibility and inclusion through user choice is an absolute don't miss talk. Any talk Carrie is giving, you should go to, and end of story. And I could go on and on. There was a delightful variety of topics. I got excited when I saw a session on data visualization accessibility, because I like the edgy, right?
I think that one will be really interesting, because thinking about how we make graphs or charts, I mean, that it's a challenge. It's not impossible, but it's a challenge. So I'm really interested to always hear like how other people have approached challenges like that. And there's always ideas that you can take away and apply to your work.
There is. And even if you listen to a topic about one of these things in the last year, the advances that are happening in our world right now, there's something new. And on DataViz, I've been hanging out with some accessibility DataViz peeps for about, I don't know how many years now, probably over 5. And it just keeps moving forward and forward and forward on what's possible. So I can't tell you how many clients come to me and they go, can you just give us an exception so we don't have to make this accessible, because it would be impossible. And I'm like, well, it's not impossible. And here's how to do it. And I can say, let's start with this so you can see how you're going to do it, and then roll it out to the rest of your stuff. But it's like, it's so doable. And then this is even before computer vision gets added.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of great talks for people. So as a reminder, go check out 2023.wpaccessibility.day. And you can see the schedule. You can register. It's 100% free. You do have to register. That's how you get access to the Zoom. So go register. It's also how you get access to amazing swags from our wonderful sponsors like Deque. So thank you so much for spending time with me today, Glenda. And we'll continue to talk throughout the conference. And feel free, if there's any parting thoughts you want to leave for our viewers, or tell people where they can contact you or Deque if they want to reach out for more information.
Absolutely. I just want to thank you for this wonderful event you're doing for the WordPress community. I think it's so incredibly important, and remind everyone, attend, get all the gold you can out of this wonderful WordPress event. And then don't forget to sign up for AxeCon 2024, because it's free and there's always something more you can learn.
Thank you.